All right, so Nicola Gunby, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So I want to talk a lot about CLIQ and the development of the app. But before that, you have a whole huge life prior to that, because that wasn't your first app that you started, right?
No.
And you grew up in Nottingham, moved to London, but there was a whole portion of your life within that time frame. So talk a little bit about your childhood, and then you went to school but dropped out, did some traveling before you entered into building your first app with your partner. So just talk about that part of your life.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey. Probably not a conventional one, but I think that's where the best founder stories are. So yeah, I grew up in, I'd say, a fairly smallish town in Nottingham. And when I was younger, I kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do. I think it's very difficult at that age to know what it is that you want to do. You're pushed into university. That's kind of feel like the only option for you. And I never wanted to go to university, but I applied anyway because I didn't really know what my path was. And then I got in. So I was like, okay, great, I'll go. And I lasted about 2 months before I decided to quit. And I think for me, there was a few things. I never really wanted to go in the first place, but because all my friends were going, I felt like that was the only option for me. Didn't really see what else I could do. But also, I think you're pushed into an environment where you don't really know no one, and you're pushed into a flat with people that you don't know, and that's kind of chosen for you. And then you're on a course with people that you don't know, and that's kind of chosen for you. And if you don't connect with people, then it can feel a very lonely experience. And I definitely faced that and felt very lonely and decided that it wasn't for me, and then moved back home. And then again, I was like, what the hell am I going to do with my life? All my friends had gone off to university, going out all the time, having so much fun. And I was back in my mum's bedroom, not knowing what I wanted to do with my life. Got a kind of basic office job, and then knew I had this creative element to me. So when I went to university, I actually went to study fashion. And when I quit, I was like, okay, what am I interested in? And makeup artistry was something that always really, I don't know, something I really enjoyed, and it brought all that creativity in me. So I decided to do a weekend makeup course where I would drive to Manchester every weekend for like 6 months and learn how to do makeup, and then come back and do my full-time office job in the week. And that weekend, like, I would look forward to that every single week because I felt like I was so passionate about it. And then
Just quick question: was your mom supportive of you leaving school? Because I always feel like every person I've interviewed, they're like, "Go to school, get your degree, then you can go do what you want after that." But before that, you have to go get your degree.
yeah, that was definitely the mindset at the beginning. And they never pushed me into university, but I think it was always something they wanted. But when I quit, they're actually super supportive. I think for them, they just wanted me to be happy, and they knew that I was really unhappy there, and it just really wasn't for me. And in a way, she probably enjoyed me being back at home as opposed to being away from home and all those unknown uncertainties that happen as a parent when your child goes to university. I think she wanted me back at home so she could spend more time with me. So it kind of worked in her favor a little bit. But they're very supportive parents. I've always had very supportive parents, and they just wanted me to do something that I enjoyed. And I think at that age, it's very difficult to know. And I think you've got to try on so many hats at that age. And you don't get the chance to do that when you're at university because you're kind of just stuck in that one course. Whereas it's 3 years of your life where you can actually be trying things, exploring things. And that's gave me the potential to explore that makeup artistry career. And I was like, okay, I can really see myself doing this. But I knew that I wanted to get out of the hometown that I was from. I didn't really have that experience. So I was only away for a couple of months. And I saw quite a lot of people going traveling. And I was like, this is so exciting. Like, let's go traveling. Said to my boyfriend at the time, like, once you finish university, I'll wait for you and let's book a one-way flight to Thailand, the very typical thing that everyone does. Told my mum that, and she was very unsupportive. She was like, absolutely no way are you booking a one-way flight to Thailand with him. Like, it's very unsafe. Like, you're so young, all these things. And I was like, okay, mum, okay. And the next week we booked it. And then I told her, like, oh, we're going to Thailand. So that she was less supportive of, but I can see why in a way.
Yeah.
And we were very young at the time, but like, I just wanted to explore new things. I wanted to see the world. I think because I felt so trapped and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I felt like I'd taken 10 steps back quitting university, that I just wanted to get out there. And it was honestly the best decision that I ever made, was going traveling. And we actually ended up being away for 3 years. So the plan was 3 months, be back home for Christmas for the family. And 3 months in, we had a few friends that were going to Australia, and we're like, why not go? So I decided to book a visa to go live in Australia, and then ended up there for 2 years. So we're actually away for 3 years in total, which was so unexpected. but honestly changed me as a person. I think if I stayed in my hometown, I still would have been that person that didn't really know what they wanted to do with their life and maybe didn't think they could do anything. But I think traveling really opened my eyes to what the world is out there, all the amazing opportunities, and that you can really kind of like make your own path. I started like listening to loads of podcasts and books and like self-help things and just really like developing myself as a person. And I realized like, okay, everyone can start a business. Like we have the tools at our disposal to start something if we want to take the risk and we're able to. Whereas before I felt like you could only start a business maybe if you have business experience and a business degree, come from money, all of these different things. So I think going out traveling really just, changed my perception of the world.
And when you were in Australia, you didn't start right away, your business right away. You worked, right, while you were there? And that's how you kind of like got into the beauty side of what was essential would become your first app?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, okay, perfect time for me to start my makeup career in a new city, super exciting, so many jobs happening. So went to start on that journey and then realized very quickly how difficult it is to be a freelancer when you don't know anyone in a city. Like you've got to one, make friends and build a network, but two, we've also got to get out there and make clients. And when you're self-employed, that was my first kind of taste of like being an entrepreneur, even though I didn't realize it at the time. Like you're the one marketing yourself, you're the one finding your own clients, doing your own taxes, all of these things. And I was like, wow, it's actually a lot harder than I thought. And I noticed that there was loads of platforms out there for salons. So helping salons get booking, manage their bookings, build their client base, all of these things. But there was nothing for freelancers. And I was really struggling at the time. And I got some amazing jobs in like TV and film and all these cool things, but I couldn't get the everyday person on a weekend going to a wedding or girls going out with their friends. And that's what I really wanted to get, but that's such a word of mouth industry. And I came home to Jason one day. I think we've been in Australia about a year and a half, and was just basically ranting about how I wish I could get more work. Why isn't there no platforms out there? And he was like, let's look into it, see if I can find anything for you. Realized there was nothing really in Australia. And then he was like, wait a minute, is there anything in the UK? Like, does this even exist? Realized that in the UK, it was very similar. It was all salon focused. And he was basically like, let's just try and create ourselves. And I think when we went away, we both knew that we were going away to, it sounds so cliche, but like find yourself and figure out what we wanted to do. And we both really were like interested in this entrepreneur world and starting something for ourselves. It's always something that we'd wanted to do, but didn't really know how and didn't really know what the opportunity would be. Then when we had that idea, it just felt like fate. And also we were in the perfect time to start something because we knew we'd be coming back to the UK at some point and we didn't have a job. We didn't have anything to come back to. The risk was so much lower than the risk would be when you're older and you have kids, you have a mortgage, you have a house, all these things. Like we had nothing. So like we might as well try it and go for it. And we'd saved basically some money to do some more traveling on the way home and end up cutting that a little bit shorter to buy like a laptop, to get a really basic website built. And we're like, why don't we try it? Like also when you're traveling, you realize how much free time you have. Like the biggest decision you make is like, where are we going to eat tonight? What beach are we going to tomorrow? It's a very, very simple way of living. And you have so much time to think and explore. So we're like, okay, we know we've got at least a few hours every single day to be working on something. Why not try and make something work? And like Jason was learning how to code on YouTube, which we soon realized was way more difficult than we thought it would be. And we were just like, yeah,
You,
it's that
you
one.
let him handle that part of it, right?
Yes, yes. I was
I
like,
know
you
I
deal
wouldn't
with
be
the
the coding one. Yeah.
I'll deal with all the fun stuff. And yeah, we just learn ourselves, learn everything that could be Googled was Googled. We both came from no business experience, but we're like, we have the internet at our disposal. Like you can literally Google anything and find out how to do something and learn it. So yeah, just went for it and then came back to the UK and we were like, right, okay, let's give ourselves 3 months to really turn this into a business because we didn't want to go and fall back into the same trap of getting a job, getting a house, getting married, having a baby, all of these things that was kind of that stigma. We really wanted to do something different. And I was like, I don't want to go away for 3 years and then come back into the same kind of like routine. I want to try something totally different. So basically gave ourselves 3 months to make it work. And yeah, it kind of ended up taking off.
Did you know that obviously you have the entrepreneur spirit, and it sounds like you've had that your whole life. So I assume you knew from an early age that eventually you would create something, some sort of business. Did you always think that it would be an app or on the technology side, or you just kind of fell into that with your aha moment of, there's nothing out there to connect, on the beauty makeup side, and it just out of that aha moment and out of an idea, a need, and filling that need by not seeing anything else in the market like it.
Yeah, I would never have considered myself as being a tech founder. Tech wasn't even something that I was like really interested in. It wasn't something that I wanted to pursue. I always saw myself doing something for myself. And I think that's why being a freelancer was so exciting to me, because it was having your own business and owning your own time. Like, freedom for me and time is really, really important. And that's one of the main reasons that I think I've gone into this journey, is because you own your own time. At the same time, it's very stressful and there's a lot of pressure that you put on yourself. But at the end of the day, you're the one that's in control. And that's what I really like about being a founder and having your own business. So I think being a makeup artist and being a freelancer was my first taste for that. And then I was like, oh, okay, maybe I have the potential to take it that one step further. But when I was younger, I would never have thought that I would be the person to take it one step further. I do think going away and experiencing more opened my eyes to that, but also having the support of Jason. I think doing it together, it felt a lot less risky because we were learning together and we were both amateurs at business, but it was so exciting to be able to do it together. Whereas I feel like maybe if I'd gone down the path on my own, I wouldn't have got as far as I did because I didn't have that support network, whereas we were each other's support network.
So there was motivation even while you were technically traveling on vacation, like you said, where you have nothing really to do than worry about what to eat that night.
Yeah.
Obviously, you were able to each motivate each other to actually, pursue it, not just be like, oh, well, this is easy. We could just, hang out here and not
Yeah.
pursue our goals. Because, an idea is only good if you actually act on it and try it.
Exactly. And I think for us, it was so exciting and still is so exciting. Know that you're building towards your future, and that involves both of you. And you're kind of like, we're both very aligned on what we want in life. So I think that helps that we're both building this business to get us to that point in life. And it's just so exciting to be able to do it with someone that you fully trust and that you've known for so long, and you really do share the highs. But then on the backside of that, you really do share the lows as well. And it works for us. I mean, co-founder relationships are tricky in general, never mind being in a relationship at the same time. And I think like it really works for some people or it doesn't, but we found really early on that we work really well together. So we were like, why don't we tap into that? We've also got very different skill sets. Jason's more tech focused, or I'm more on the marketing, the creative side of things. So I think along the way as well, we've realized what our skills are and that we really actually do complement each other as co-founders.
And did he create the first app by learning coding?
He started to, and then
Okay.
realized it was very difficult, and we got
Because I was going to say
very.
that's really starting from the beginning when you're saying, all right, I'm going to learn coding to create the app, to create the business, than just,
Yeah.
finding someone who could build it for you and just, raising the funds to be able to start it.
Yeah, no. So he learned how to code very basically and started, and then realized it was very tricky, and then worked alongside kind of like a developer. It was a developer we found on, I think it was like a fiverr.com. So it was very risky, didn't know who this person was, just took a chance. And the
Yeah.
first product, if you ever would have seen that product, you would die because you would never think I would get where I am today.
What
But
year
it was
was
test.
that? I'm just curious.
Pardon? What year?
Oh, sorry. What year? Yeah. Did you create that first app?
It would have been like 20, no, 2000 and what year was COVID? 2020.
Sorry. Yeah. Like 2020. It started early
Yes.
2020.
So we launched beginning of 2020. So the next stage for us was going through COVID, which obviously didn't see happening. So we just launched this business. I think we'd had it like 3 months, and then COVID happened and we were like, oh my gosh, like this is maybe not meant to be, but took that time to really learn and to develop the business. So we sat down and thought about everything that we wanted, because when we went into it, we really rushed it, to be honest. We just went for it, built a website, and then just learn on it every single day. We never really had the time to breathe and think about what we wanted. Whereas COVID was so good for us because we can actually work on the business. So we like did a rebrand. We actually got a new developer to redevelop the website for us, because we're like, okay, what we've done, we've really rushed into this and it's not really what we envisioned. So we used that time to really work on the business. And then luckily after COVID, it all really worked in our favor because there was so many trends in the beauty industry of like salons had shut down, people didn't want the overheads, they wanted a side hustle, they wanted to work for themselves. So we had this like big boom in people becoming self-employed, and then also this big boom of consumers booking independent freelance as opposed to going to salons. So we really wanted to support like independent professionals and people in our local area rather than going to the chains. So that was something we never saw coming, but actually ended up working in our favor, and the business really took off after COVID because of those key trends that happened.
Okay. And when you that app was successful, you would go on and it would be acquired, right?
Yes, yes. So after COVID, we decided to go down the investment route. That was something as well that we never even knew anything about. I think just being in that kind of like startup ecosystem, like you start to hear about it a little bit more. And I was like, okay, maybe this is something that we can explore. We'd also spent a lot of our savings on the business, and it was going really well. But for us to get to that next level, we really needed an app. So at the moment in time, we only had a website, very basic functionality. But we were like, okay, if we want to compete with these big players, we need an app where professionals can manage their diary, take deposits, all of these key things that beauty professionals also needed, as well as getting new clients. So knew we wanted to build an app, and that's when we went down the investment journey, which very difficult when you don't have any network and you're not from London or from a big city. We were in this small town, didn't really know anyone that had a business, didn't really know anyone that had any money, and had to build that from the ground up. And just making those online connections first, which then hopefully we could take in person. Like we'd be coming down to London to have these meetings with investors. It was like 3-4 months of really, really pushing hard and not really working on the business because we were really focused on trying to get investment. And that's the hardest thing, I think, with the investment journey, is that it does take you away from the product because that's all you're focused on, is getting those investor meetings, doing those calls, all of those things that you don't actually have time to work on the business. Worked in our favor having both of us because we could balance it a little bit. Because we were so desperate for the investment, we were literally working on it day in, day out, and probably heard maybe 300 no's every single day. It was like, no, sorry. And I think as well, the beauty industry was seen as this, I don't know, we always had people that were like, beauty doesn't make any money. I think because a lot of the investors we're speaking to were men, they didn't really understand the impact of the beauty industry and how much money women actually spend within the beauty industry. So we had a lot of people telling us that it's never going to work. Why are you trying this? That you're too young, all of these things, but just had that resilience in us to keep going. And then, yeah, in the end, after 3 months of pitching our heart and soul away to be told a million times, like, no, we ended up getting a partial acquisition deal from a beauty brand that had just gone public at the time. They were very product focused. So they were looking to expand into more services, but also for them, it was about the data. They wanted to know what beauty professional was booking what price points, they could tailor that to their products, but then also wanted to build like a professional community. So back then we were building community and we didn't even really realize, because we were giving our professionals a space where they could connect with each other, connect with us. We wanted to do in-person events. They could create content, they get free products, all of these things that no other platforms were providing. And that was a massive incentive for the beauty professionals to stay with us. So it worked really well in terms of like alignment with us and the brand that acquired us. And it gave us all the infrastructure that we needed. And it was something that we never even considered. We just want external investment and we were going to go grow it ourselves. But we were like, okay, this gives us the full infrastructure around us, the team, the money, the tech, everything that we need to take this business to the next level. And yeah, it really, really took off with that. We completely rebranded. And then, yeah, we ended up doing the full acquisition after about a year. So it was a 3-year journey in total, which isn't a long time. It felt like a long time at the time. And we got to a point where we're like, okay, I feel like we've really learned so much from this. And we're just ready for something new at the same time, and knew that we had kind of a bigger plan in the works.
So was that your original goal when you created that first app, was to eventually sell it, or no, that just happened that way?
It just happened. Honestly, it just kind of happened as we went along, and we knew we wanted to get investment, but we'd never ever considered an acquisition. We didn't think a business of that early stage could even get acquired. We didn't really know. And then when it happened, we were like, wow, okay, like this is such a proud moment for us to have been grafting day and night for 2 years, like especially at a time where our friends were going, like, buying houses, getting married, buying really nice cars, all these things. We're basically living at our parents, trying to make this business work. So many people are like, even our parents are like, you need to go get a job now. Like, it's not working. Like, you need to go get a job. And then getting that acquisition and being like, okay, wow, like all that hard work was actually worth it. And literally the next week we were like moving down to London. Everything was so exciting. And yeah, it taught us a lot. And I think that business was definitely a stepping stone to CLIQ. Maybe I didn't know it at the time, but now I look back and I'm like, wow, all of those things that I learned, all of the life lessons, all of the people skills, everything that I learned has made me a better founder for CLIQ. And I feel like CLIQ is the business we were meant to create. And that was kind of like a stepping stone. But that's only in hindsight. I feel like we didn't know that at the time. We just knew that we wanted our own business, to own our own time and to make it into something and have this success, whatever that looks like. But looking back, I just realized that it was a really good stepping stone for us into what we're doing now.
And at that time, once you sold it, did you take a deep breath before you jumped into developing CLIQ? Or was it something like, okay, we got the bug now, let's create another one and go full force into it and basically do what you just did all over again?
Yeah, we kind of didn't really have it in the plans. We took a bit of time out. So we knew that was important. Like, we'd worked very hard for 3 years, not had a holiday or anything. We're like, okay, we really need some time just to figure things out. We did a bit of traveling again. So we went back to the beach. So like, we had our first idea in Australia, like, let's go to Bali and maybe we'll have another idea. Like, who knows? Because you have so much free time to think. And in that period before we went away, we found ourselves wanting to meet people in London. We'd been here for a year. We'd not really made any effort to meet anyone new because we were so busy with the business. Then when we didn't have that business, you kind of, one, feel like your identity's gone a little bit. Two, you want to get out and get inspired and you want to fill your free time with people that are like-minded to you. And we really struggled to find people with the apps that were currently out there. And I was going to every single like female founder networking event that I could find, realizing that half of them were not worth my time. But I just kept trying because I was like desperate for this connection. I was desperate to meet other female founders, to make friends, but also maybe to inspire me in what I wanted to do next. Maybe I was feeling a little bit lost again. And then we went away. And whilst we were away in Bali, they have such a strong community element. Like, you'll be sat in a coffee shop and someone would come up to you and be like, what are you working on? What are you doing? And like, have a conversation with you. That happens in London. I don't know what it's like in the US, but that happens in London. You're like, why is this person speaking to me? Everyone's like head down in their own zone. And even though there is community, in Bali, it was so strong. And we went to like a few run clubs and stuff like that. And I was like, wow, this really pushed me out my comfort zone. Like, I want to do this in London. And then realized that it started to boom in London as well, but there was no space for you to find these communities. So if you wanted to find a run club, you'd have to be sit there searching on Instagram, finding all these different run clubs, then being like, does it fit my demographic? Who's even going to be there? Then you take it off Instagram to WhatsApp. Then you have to book through Eventbrite. Everything was so disjointed. And I was like,
That
why?
sounds like my life right now. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
how I'm part of some run clubs, and that's how it is.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
it's
finding on
crazy.
Instagram, it's chats on WhatsApp to organize the runs and that kind of thing. Yeah.
And it's chaotic and it's quite crazy. And we were like, okay, if you move to a new city, what apps do you even download? Where do you look? Everything's so transactional. Everything's like swipe through friends, like you'd swipe for dates, or it is joining these Facebook groups that are so spammy. It was like, there's no one that's really reinvented this wheel. And we were thinking about it for probably like, yeah, a few days. And then we're like, why don't we just like have a go, create it and see what happens? Like, start just like testing and learning, maybe like create a brand, create some wireframes, all of these things. Like, we had so much free time again, so it was like, we might as well see. And everything came together so easily. Like, Jason went to one calf and I went to another calf, and we're like, right, you focus on the tag, figure out how that would work, and I go and figure out like the branding. And we saw it as like a little mini project to what we do whilst we're away. And very quickly we came back together and we're like, wow, like, we have something. And it happened so easily, and it felt like it was meant to be, it felt like it was fate. And came back home and then started showing people, and we're like, what do you think? And we soon realized that we weren't the only people facing these issues where it was hard to meet people. Everyone around us that we knew it was such an issue that people were facing. And then you see like in the news, or the loneliness crisis going up and up and up and all these things. And I was like, wow, okay, like, I feel like we're in the perfect position to do this, and just went for it. It was a massive risk at the time, less so of a risk of the first business, because we kind of had a bit of a security blanket around us in terms of having the previous business before, and all the experience and the exit. But it was still a massive risk in terms of, is this going to work? Can we do it again? All of these things, but just went for it. And we built a very basic MVP in the beginning. We learned that from the previous business, like do it small before you do it big and just get it out there and test and learn it. Launched a very basic app and soon had like 10,000 users on there in the next like few weeks. And the app was breaking every single day because the app couldn't cope with the amount of users. But we just wanted to get it out there and learn and figure out what it is that people wanted. I think so many people go and build everything, or they raise loads of investment and chuck it at marketing to a product that they're not happy with and then realize that they've built it in the wrong way. Whereas for me and Jason, I think learning from the first business, test and learn is the most important thing. And we do it now. We'll release a feature and we'll test it and we'll learn from it, see if people use it before we send it out to the wider kind of like market, because that's the best thing to do. But probably wouldn't have known that if we didn't do the first business. So yeah, CLIQ's been live about a year now. It took us about 6 months to build and it took off straight away. And I think one is timing. Everyone now is talking about community. Every brand, every influencer, every person wants to be part of a community or start something. Everyone is really focused on like their health and their wellness and trying new things. And I think we're just primed in the perfect position. People wanting to meet new people now and get out their comfort zone and expand their network. And there's not really another app like CLIQ, which is so interesting.
Was your family and friends, are they on board with this time around, having seen your success from the first one? Or was there still some hesitation where you're like, you guys don't believe us, we'll do it again?
Yeah. I think there's always going to be a little bit of hesitation. They were definitely very supportive. And I think having that first business behind us proved, okay, we can do it once, we can do it again. But there's always going to be hesitation as early days, especially when you have an idea on paper. Like no one can really understand what the business is and no one's in your head. No one's going to think the same way as you. And when you've got a few app screens and a logo on a piece of paper, it's very difficult for them to see the kind of end goal. And CLIQ's evolved so much since that beginning phase. Like the first app, if you looked at that now, you wouldn't even think it was CLIQ. It's totally different, but it is just that testing and learning. And yeah, it's very difficult for someone to see what your complete vision is when you're so early stages. Whereas now, people believe the journey and they're like, we know you're going to do it, we know you're going to make it, because they've seen the success that we've had already in such a short space of time with CLIQ. And they also know how much it's needed. And I think everyone that we speak to, it might not be them that's facing this issue, but they might have, I don't know, young children that they're like, I don't want my kids to be growing up with TikTok and be sat scrolling and not enjoying life. They'd rather them have an app like CLIQ where it's super safe and they can meet new people. Or it might be that they just know someone that's really struggling, or it might be themselves that just want to meet people. I think everyone can relate to CLIQ's mission in some way, which makes it so much more exciting and just so much more scalable for us in the first business. I think there's a potential to reach so many people with CLIQ and actually change the way a generation interacts.
Sure. When you obviously building the app is a task in and of itself, probably a large challenge. But once the app launches, is acquiring users the hardest part of the business?
I'd say so, yes. And what we did at the beginning, we were like, right, okay, how can we get a mass amount of users without spending a penny? We didn't want to go and just chuck money at acquiring users. We kind of wanted to see what we could do ourselves first. And our strategy from the very beginning has been go after communities that already exist, figure out their pain points. Mostly it's that management side of things, or the discoverability element, and understanding those pain points, getting them to come on board with CLIQ. They come on board with CLIQ, they start promoting it, they bring their users with them. So if a community shuts down their WhatsApp group, they can bring 1,000 members to CLIQ overnight. So our strategy was always go after communities that already exist, go to the community leader, understand their pain points, bring them on board. And it's the one-to-many approach. We don't need to go after the thousands of users. We just go after that one person that kind of controls those users. And if we keep them happy, they keep their users happy. So that's been our user acquisition strategy from the very beginning. And it will always be our strategy moving forward. We'll also incorporate like paid ads and all those kind of things alongside that. But the core thing is look after that community leader. Because if we look after them, then they look after the users for us.
Did you in the beginning like research certain interests that may have a wider adoption than others to start with, or was it just any interest could apply to the app? Because I think of like when you think of like Amazon, I know Jeff Bezos always said that he had started with books because there were a lot of books in that particular market and easy to sell and ship. So did you try to do a study on what were the top interests of groups and then target those?
Yeah, it was definitely sport, wellness, fitness. I think when we started, there was that era of run clubs. Like everyone was starting a run club, every brand had a run club. So we went with that first. And that managed to get us a really good amount of communities that were really sticky and had that kind of like weekly events. So they had those weekly runs and then evolved from there. Now we are, I'd say, a lot more diverse. We have so many different communities and different interests. Book clubs are really big at the moment. There's so many things that we didn't start out with at the beginning that we do have now that's doing really well. I think that our apps evolved with time. And what we learned actually was that a user's not going to join CLIQ and just join one community. They typically join 3 or 4 because as humans, we're not just interested in running. We're also interested in other things. So it was interesting to see how the transition of someone joining for one community and then actually joining different communities or starting their own community in a different area. So we knew that users wouldn't just stick to one community, which is why we had to have a diverse range. But that sport and wellness really allowed us to get the foot in the door because a lot of the run clubs were struggling to manage their community. So we got all those on board. And then from there, it just evolved.
And geographically, where's the app available now?
Yeah, so it's actually worldwide now. We only really focus our marketing efforts on the UK. And I think about 3 months ago, we started hitting I can't get words out. 3 months ago, we started hitting Australia really quick. And that happened so organically that someone saw what we were doing in London, started a community out there for solo travelers, and that got really big. And then from that, it's that same thing of people started creating their own communities from there. People in Melbourne were like looking at her community and seeing what she was using and noticed she was using CLIQ. So it's grown really organically there. We do have some communities in Bali, just coincidentally, and the US as well. But this year for us is about how do we target those areas with marketing? How do we really scale in those cities? And I think what our strategy will be is like go after all the main cities, the ones where there's people traveling all the time, the expats, all of that kind of stuff, where people are looking for communities and they're moving there completely, they're on their own, looking for things to do. So going after those cities, and then it kind of spreads from there. But yeah, it's really cool that we're worldwide now and we have all these communities happening all over the world and we get tagged on these things on Instagram. Like these girls were doing Pilates in front of Sydney Harbour Bridge, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. This all happened from our app. It's crazy.
Yeah, probably more beyond what you could have imagined the app would have taken, when you see like photos like that, and it's good marketing, right? Good viral marketing for you.
Exactly. So yeah, it's very exciting.
So where do you see the app in 5 years from now? Just continuing that geographical expansion, adding more features? Like where do you see that side of it go?
Yeah, I think like with CLIQ, even in the beginning, when we look at the app now, we probably didn't have some of the ideas that we're having for the app now, and it's evolving with time. The brand piece is something that's really exciting for us, and like brands are coming to us now. How do we get in front of your communities? Because they're realizing that they have these huge influencer budgets. They've been chucking at influencers for years, but now they want to try something different, and community leaders are becoming influencers in their own right now. So a lot of brands are coming to us and wanting to get in front of those communities. So we're going to develop ways in the app that brands can do that. Yeah, some really exciting plans, introducing like gamification, all these really cool features that will really set us apart from other traditional community apps. So just kind of growing that, yeah, worldwide. I think for us, we have the potential to reach so many users and really change the way that generation interacts and hopefully make a really big dent in this loneliness epidemic. And that's what really drives me. Like when we get those DMs and it's like, someone was feeling super lonely and they joined CLIQ and now they've met their best friend and they're going for coffee with them next weekend. Or like I go to an event and I'm like, oh, I'm the founder of CLIQ, and they're like, oh my God, I have it on my phone. All of these things, it just gives me goosebumps. And I'm like, I actually can't believe the impact that we can really make here. And that's what drives us and sets us apart. And I think just keeps us going with this mission. It's a very hard industry to tackle. Typically there's all the big giants in there. There's like the Facebooks, there's the Bumbles, all of these. And then there's us, and we're like, you have to be a little bit deluded as a founder to think that you can get to that level. But I think we can. I think we really have the positioning to change the way that people interact, because none of us want to sit on our phones anymore scrolling. Like we're all trying to cut our screen time. Like no one feels good from sitting there on the sofa and scrolling, even though we do it as such a habit. We want to get out of it. And none of the apps out there are doing anything to stop this. They want to keep us on their phone. So we're really trying to like get people out from behind the phone and just do something good and really like, yeah, change the way that people interact with each other.
Yeah, I would say that I know there's quite a few like popular apps that maybe don't get as much credit as they should. One I can think of is Neighborhood that I know a lot of people are on, but it's not one that it's not like one of those buzzy apps that you're always going to hear about like Instagram or TikTok or what have you. But it certainly seems to have success for what it is.
Yeah.
All right. So what advice would you give to a young entrepreneur that might want to follow in your footsteps in business or on the tech side from, lessons that you've learned along your journey?
Yeah, I think it is just a start. I think no matter how big or small it is, just start. I think if you've got that idea that's buzzing in your head, you'll only regret it if you don't do something with it. And it doesn't have to be that you go and build a fully fledged app tomorrow and spend all your savings. You can just start small. And I think getting yourself in the right rooms and the right circles is so important. And I've learned from having the second business and building up that network how important it is. I didn't have that in the first business, and it was a slog. It really, really was a struggle because I didn't know anyone that was doing anything similar to me and that I could connect with. So I think surround yourself with like-minded people. Speak to people that you admire. I think like founders and people that are running businesses are always happy to give their advice. They're always happy to like look at your product and just help you. Like I really believe in giving back, and I don't think like I've learned all this knowledge for no reason. I really want to give back to people. So when someone sends me a message and they're like, "Oh, I'd love like 5 minutes with you," I always try and do that. So I think like don't be scared to reach out to people and start building that network, but just start. Like you don't know until you make that first decision what it's gonna be and what the paths are. But I think just starting is so important.
Okay. And when you're not working, attending events, building the app, what do you like to do to unwind, relax, get away? Do you still like to travel a lot? And is that still something you want to do extensively, like travel for a long period of time?
Yeah, and I think that's like the end goal for me is that freedom of being able to travel. At the moment, very much, yeah, head down, focused on the business. And CLIQ's quite a social business. There's lots of apps. Sorry, CLIQ's quite a social business. There's a lot of events that I can be going to all the time, which can actually be pretty exhausting. So my weekends are pretty much spent not doing much, exercising, going to gym. I've just signed up for a half marathon. I don't really know why. So training for that
Oh, good
is
luck.
what I'm doing a lot at the moment. But just yeah, spending me time, like however that looks. I think I used to be so go 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 that I'd have such a busy week and then I'd make loads of social plans on the weekend and it would come to Monday and I'd feel so burnt out. And I've learnt the hard way that you really do need time for yourself, even if that means just like sitting on the sofa and watching a TV show. Like you shouldn't feel guilty for that. But just yeah, I think focusing on having that time out away from the business is really important because you can come back stronger the next day as well.
All right, sounds good. And I will say, as an avid runner, and I'm training for a marathon now, my best piece of
Yeah.
advice is as long as you pace yourself during the race and just do those long runs and the training for it, and you'll be all set.
That's good. I think we've got 9 weeks.
9 weeks?
So it's a
Okay.
decent
Yeah.
amount of time, but it also goes so quick. I'm really enjoying it. I think it's given me that motivation to actually get out and run. Whereas previously I just like ran on the off chance when I felt like it. But now it's really giving me that kind of like, okay, I've got something to look forward to. I know I need to get really fit for it. So really pushing me. And it also running gives you that time to switch off. It's really good for your mental health, running is. And even though you don't want to go on that run, like you feel so amazing afterwards. So I'm really enjoying that side of things, but yeah, slightly scared to do the half marathon.
Yeah, well, so yeah, people are always like, "How do you do a marathon?" I'm like, "Well, that's the easy part because you've done all the training, and then when you do the marathon, you have like all the medical and support along the way, so it makes it a
Yeah,
heck of a lot easier when you're actually in the race. Plus, there's
yeah,
people around you, so you're motivated.
ex-
And you're right about running. That's when I listen to podcasts when I'm running,
yeah,
especially on those long runs. It makes the time go by.
yeah. That's a good idea. Actually, I'm gonna start doing that.
Yeah. All right. Well, Nicola Gunby, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. And I'll link to the app and all of your socials in the show notes and on our website at myfamedexplained.com. Best of luck to you and with all your future success. And I'll be looking forward to following your journey.
Amazing. Thank you so much.